Have you ever caught yourself thinking, wait, is this love or am I just stuck in Groundhog Day with my partner? You wake up, brush your teeth, have breakfast, argue about who left the towel on the floor, binge watch a show, go to bed, and repeat. It feels predictable, maybe even boring. But here's the twist. Some of those routines, the very ones that make you roll your eyes, are actually keeping your relationship alive and healthy. Today, we're diving deep into the strange world of couple routines, the silly, the annoying, the comforting, and the secretly powerful. By the end of this video, you'll see that routines are not always the enemy of passion. They might just be the glue that holds everything together. But first, let's be real. When you hear the word routine in a relationship, it often sounds like a warning sign, as if routine automatically equals boring. It brings up images of a couple who hasn't changed their pajamas in 3 days, eating the same pizza every Friday night, and having the same arguments about who should take out the trash. It feels safe, but also painfully predictable. And let's face it, in the beginning of love, everything is the opposite of routine. Every text is exciting. Every date feels like a movie scene. Every kiss is fireworks. Then, slowly but surely, life sneaks in with bills, responsibilities, work stress, and suddenly you realize that the most romantic thing you've done together this week was deciding which brand of toilet paper to buy. But here's the paradox. While routine can feel suffocating, psychologists and relationship experts say that rituals, the small repeated actions you do as a couple, are actually a secret superpower. They don't always look glamorous, and they rarely make it onto Instagram, but they create connection, security, and long-term intimacy. So today we're going to break this down into 2 categories. The routines that make you want to scream into a pillow because they're so dull, and the routines that, whether you realize it or not, are strengthening your bond. Spoiler: sometimes they're the same thing. Let's start with the funny, annoying side. Think about those everyday little habits you've fallen into as a couple. Maybe you always fight over the thermostat. One of you is constantly cold. The other is sweating like it's summer in the Sahara. Maybe you have that ongoing, never-ending debate about what to eat for dinner. And somehow, even though you've been together for years, the question, what do you want to eat, still sparks a 30-minute discussion. Or maybe you have that ridiculous ritual where you say, goodnight, but then stay on your phones in bed for another hour scrolling through memes. On the surface, these things seem silly, even pointless. They're the kind of routines that make you wonder if you've lost the spark. But here's where it gets interesting. Researchers say that even these tiny, mundane interactions are building blocks of connection. Why? Because routine equals predictability, and predictability equals safety. Let me explain. Our brains love novelty. That's why the start of a relationship feels like a roller coaster. But once you're past the honeymoon phase, your nervous system craves something else: stability. Knowing that your partner will kiss you goodbye every morning, or that you'll argue about the same things in the same silly way, gives your brain the message: this relationship is safe. This person is reliable. I can relax. In fact, studies show that couples who build rituals, even simple ones like making coffee together in the morning or having a weekly date night, report higher levels of satisfaction and intimacy. The rituals don't have to be fancy or Instagram-worthy. They just need to be consistent. Now, let's look at the difference between routine that bores you and ritual that strengthens you. Because yes, there is a difference. Routine is when you go on autopilot. You're brushing your teeth next to each other, scrolling through your phones at dinner, or saying, "How was your day?" without really listening. These things can make love feel mechanical, like you're just ticking boxes. Ritual, on the other hand, is when you bring intention into the moment. You still brush your teeth next to each other, but maybe you playfully spit water at each other or joke about who looks funnier with foam in their mouth. You still ask, "How was your day?" But you actually pause, make eye contact, and listen. It's not the action itself that matters, it's the meaning you attach to it. Here's an example. Let's say every night you and your partner watch a show together. If it's just noise in the background while you both scroll on your phones, that's routine. But if you turn it into a ritual, snuggling under a blanket, making popcorn, pressing play at the same time, and laughing together at the same moments, that's bonding. Same activity, different energy. So what are some rituals worth keeping? Let's talk about the research-backed ones. Number 1, greetings and goodbyes. They might seem tiny, but how you say hello and goodbye sets the emotional tone of your relationship. A quick kiss before work, a hug when you get home, even a silly inside joke as you leave the house. These small actions build a sense of security. It's your way of saying, "I see you, I choose you," even in the middle of the chaos. Number 2, shared meals. Eating together is one of the oldest bonding rituals in human history. It doesn't matter if it's a fancy dinner or just scrambled eggs in sweatpants. When you sit down, phones away, and actually talk while eating, you're not just feeding your bodies, you're feeding the relationship. Number 3, bedtime rituals. Going to bed at the same time, or at least sharing a few minutes before sleep, is surprisingly powerful. It doesn't have to be romantic every time. Sometimes it's just brushing your teeth, complaining about your day, and passing out. But those minutes of winding down together create a sense of unity. Number 4, check-ins. This doesn't sound sexy, but having a routine of asking, "How are we doing?" can prevent small problems from becoming big ones. A 5-minute weekly check-in over coffee where you talk about what went well and what was hard is like maintenance for your relationship. Think of it as brushing your teeth, but for your love life. Number 5, celebrating small things. Maybe you always order cake on each other's birthday, no matter how old you are. Maybe you high-five after folding laundry. Maybe you make a big deal out of Friday night takeout. These small celebrations create joy and memories. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. But won't all this routine kill the spark? And here's where things get even more interesting. Routine doesn't kill passion. Neglect does. The real danger isn't doing the same thing every night, it's when you stop paying attention to each other while you do it. Think of your relationship like a garden. Watering the plants every day is routine. It might feel repetitive, but it's what keeps the garden alive. If you stop watering, hoping the plants will stay exciting on their own, they'll wither. In love, it's not about avoiding routine. It's about choosing routines that nurture instead of drain. Of course, balance is key. Too much predictability can make you feel stuck. That's why it's important to sprinkle in novelty. Go on a spontaneous trip. Try a new recipe. Surprise your partner with something small. But don't underestimate the power of the ordinary, because it's the mix of stability and surprise that keeps relationships alive. So here's a little challenge for you. Pay attention to your routines this week. Which ones make you feel connected, and which ones feel like autopilot? For the ones that feel boring, ask yourself, how can I add intention? Can I make brushing teeth together funny? Can I turn cooking dinner into a team project instead of a chore? Can I make bedtime feel cozy instead of mechanical? And for the rituals that already feel good, honor them, protect them. Don't dismiss them just because they seem small. A 2-second kiss before work might not feel like much, but over years, it becomes a thread in the fabric of your love story. At the end of the day, love isn't built on grand gestures. Yes, flowers and trips are nice, but the truth is, most of our relationships are held together by the small daily moments. The jokes, the hugs, the did you feed the cat conversations. The rituals we barely notice are the ones shaping our intimacy. So when you find yourself sighing at the boring routines, remember this. They might not look like passion, but they are proof of commitment. They're the quiet ways we say, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. And sometimes, that's the most romantic thing of all. And who knows? One day you'll look back and realize that those silly, boring little rituals were actually the highlights, the inside jokes, the warm moments, the glue that held you together when life got messy. So, routine or rut? The answer is, it depends on what you make of it. With intention, routine becomes ritual, and ritual, no matter how small, becomes love in action.